Yeah.
You're Indiana too, yeah?
Yes, I have a couple properties there. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I gotta look at that market. Do you know Tara? Have you met Tara?
Yes, we're both in sub 2.
Oh, Pace, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Pace meetup here last night in Vegas. And you know how it goes. So many people show up for those things.
Yeah, you were there?
I didn't make it. I had another event to go to. The thing about Vegas is there's so many events to choose from. There was 2 last night. And yeah, it's a lot, but yeah, it's
And
great.
tomorrow is your guys' event, right?
Yeah, exactly. Is that tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tomorrow. Yeah.
22nd.
Yeah, it's good.
So-
It's good. Should be fun. That's why Corey can't be on today because he's getting ready to fly out. So it's all good. Then we can just kind of talk story about whatever we like to talk about.
Yeah.
All the other fun stuff, which is awesome. So we'll wait a couple minutes. We're actually kind of early today, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Hey Ben, welcome.
How's it going?
Good. How's Seattle?
It's all right. It's gray,
It's not-
rainy.
Yeah. Are you still
What you
mostly
expect?
now? Are you still mostly focused in on brokering single family or also multifamilies, or what's your area of expertise?
Mostly single family. I'd really like to get into investing in multifamily.
Nice. Well, we've been talking a lot about multifamilies lately.
I know.
Tate continues to
I'm waiting
inspire
for us to get the coffee talk family deal going, man.
Yeah, well, we started one on Houston and then it just didn't work out for us with Corey. But
Yeah, that one looked real nice until they decided they realized the price was too good.
yeah, their price was good. And then, but the guy ended up having some issues. So the funny thing is that he's coming back to us. So it may become a deal.
Oh,
Which is a good lesson in this market. And I don't know if the rest of you are seeing this too, is sometimes initially the first pass, the sellers just aren't very movable and not very inspired. And then give it a little bit of time, they actually come back around, which is so good. But yeah, when you're ready. And then the other folks that are on this line too are good multifamily people. Tay, Zasha, we talked about last week a lot. Hey, Zasha. So a lot of good resources. That's why eventually we're going to convince Corey that he should get into multifamilies. He just loves single family for some reason. And so we could talk stink about him since he's not on the line today.
it's really easy to just keep doing what you've always been doing, you know?
Yeah. And not a bad
It's that
thing.
extra push to jump into something new.
Yeah, no, not a bad thing at all to do single family for sure. Hey, Zasha, welcome. Glad you're here too. It'll be
Aloha, happy
cool.
Aloha Friday, everybody.
Aloha Friday. I love your background. I was like, man, I wish I could own something that pretty. All my stuff looks like crap.
This is gold.
Although-
This is gold right here.
That's gold. That's class A. That's like really nice stuff. Yeah, actually, I was with Stan this morning up at our 160 unit, and it's like 80 degrees outside, so it's hot. And I don't know why, but class C neighborhoods have a smell to them when it gets warm. It's kind of fun, but no, the building's looking good, so I'm pretty excited. So much on the improvement side, stuff we could talk about. But we'll just jump in with the group that we got and just kind of start. Anybody got any leads that you're sitting on that you want to try to see if somebody's interested in, or anybody looking for a partner or tenants in common, or anybody need to wholesale something? Nobody with
Silence.
the silence. Nobody's got any deals to share. That's all right. It's a tough.
Not after last week. I'm not going to share anything else.
No, you should. It was so good. In fact, I was gonna ask you for an update, but we'll talk to you. We'll talk about it in a minute. Chris, did you have something? Or you just turn on your camera so we can check out your cool hat.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm in a coffee shop right now. Not particularly, just still scouting out right now, to be honest. I think me and my mom's just gonna concentrate more on networking, to be honest.
Nice. What market are you in?
Well, we're looking at a few couple markets, but I definitely know Oklahoma is one. We're gonna have a
Okay.
meeting on what our other potential markets is gonna be. So we're just scouting out for sponsors right now. Like we have a list to go through next week. So yeah, little by little.
Honestly, I mean, we could spend a minute on that and see if anybody else has got any input, but you know, when you're first getting into it, I think you're doing exactly the perfect thing, which is just networking and driving
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, and I think the biggest part that because we did had a deal in Omaha, the broker already had a buyer, and it was like $470, and my mom was able to underwrite it. But the thing is, we did that as like a practice dummy, so we know what a good deal looks like. So
You,
now
your
we're
your
just
practice
concentrating.
deal is $470.
Yeah, that's what my mom did. I know.
That's,
Because she told me it's like she does financials and she's like, yeah, I looked at so many deals, and she told her coach, the coach Jordan, he's like, I looked at so many financials on so many deals and this one makes sense. Majority of them doesn't.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, if you could start off with 400 plus units, then man, that's fantastic. That's exciting.
Yeah, so but it was basically a practice dummy, and I think the broker already found a buyer. My mom just updated me on that. So we're just gonna be like, okay, which is our markets? We're gonna decide on that, focus on that, because I literally researched the whole entire United States because we were all scatterbrained for a moment.
Gotcha.
So
And then what attracted you to Oklahoma City?
Oklahoma City, it's actually the very first one. I actually talked to Ashton on it. There's a lot of potential job growth on there. I looked at so many markets that my brain is kind of scattered right now. But I remember taking notes on it. But not job growth, the cap rate, I believe also population is also going up as well. I got to do a deeper dive on it, but I know that's one that is potential on that. Plus
That's awesome.
insurance rates is being crapped out on around the South. That's what I've been hearing. So
Oh yeah.
we're mostly trying to concentrate at least a little bit in the Midwest, despite hearing some sponsors don't like snow. But that's what my instincts are telling me.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean, it sounds like you're evaluating things well and you're choosing a market where you feel comfortable with the overall numbers and stats.
Yeah.
That's smart.
I have actually like a list, and I just be like, oh, how does this market? I'm like, and then I double check on it, trust and verify, and I just roll with that.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I love it. Well, and I mean, that's so critical. That's what I look for too, is the cap rates, take a look at the income, take a look at, average income, and then taking a look at medium income, taking a look at employment opportunities. Those are huge. Tay, what attracted you to Indiana? Like, what are the market stats there?
Honestly, initially, it's because Daniel, like a few of the investors that I knew and trusted were there, including Daniel Kong. So I just went in there because I had assistance, but population growth.
Yep.
And I got in when a lot of people were moving there because it was COVID, right? So it was really that there was population growth, job growth, and it's been pretty good. Like renters have been really consistent. They all stay for 1 to 2 years. Yep.
Yeah, I believe Indianapolis
And the rents are going over there.
Yeah, I believe Indianapolis is booming, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that's good. Zasha, what about you? What criteria do you use for the markets you go into?
The same thing, but main thing is like a team and a really good sorry, I wasn't ready for this. I mainly look for good partner.
It's
I
okay.
look for partner, so my goal to scale was through partnerships. And so I make sure that I partner with someone who already has experience in that market, that market seems pretty, stable from what I could tell, but honestly, just from running the numbers and trusting their team has been beneficial and like helping save me time. And it's been working out pretty great. I mean, even I would like to do more in Hawaii, but honestly, just the amount of work that it takes, the amount of time, that's why I started investing out of state, is to kind of get more time back, leverage partnerships. And there's a lot more deals that you can do out of state versus here. I mean, I know a lot of successful people doing it in Hawaii, but as far as if you're like a solopreneur or you don't want a huge team, that's what I found to be most beneficial, is just finding really
I
good
agree.
people through networking, through these conferences, through meetups, through calls like this, and then partnering up, seeing what you're good at, and combining resources and just moving forward.
That's so good. I love it. I love it. I love what you said about the best way to scale is in partnerships. That's so true. Usually it's scary because it's like, man, I don't know about that partner, and then got to split some income, and all the Chinese Poké sides are like, oh, I know, like split income, because that's giving away some of my potential money. But yeah, no, that's totally correct. I think that's awesome. Scalability equals partnerships for sure. I love it.
because actually I was talking to Ashton, my coach, and he's like, yeah, like looking for partners is like looking for a marriage.
Well, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be that permanent. You could start with one deal. You don't have to like form an LLC and, go through all the legwork of making it so permanent. Just like start with one deal, partner together, use your own companies, and you both be, part owners, and then from there, see if it works.
Yeah,
That's how Zasha and I did the first couple of deals. We just JV partner.
Did you JV
And then felt comfortable.
partners like a tenants in common, and just of your individual LLCs partnered up?
The first one, we had to add her to my LLC.
That works.
Then we removed her after the deal was done.
Hey,
And
that's
then
a cheaper way to do it,
after
actually.
that, it was just we did a couple, like that, Zasha. I forget.
Yeah, she just added me on and then took me off afterwards, because it was just easier because initially
It was gonna be
like,
faster.
because one was like a short sale, so there was like a lot of paperwork where we couldn't do it that way or would change stuff. So, but we were close enough. We were working with each other like every single day. So I was at her house, so we're very like in tune with each other and what was going on. And like she mentioned, just align with morals, integrity, understanding. We were working through
The
it.
lane. Yeah, it was an amazing experience, honestly. And because I was new, she was experienced. So every decision that was being made, like, you got the new person learning and you got the experienced person with their expertise. Like, well, this is usually how we do this. This is usually how we address that. So that was huge learning curve. And we did a good partnership, and we split the profits at the end. And
well, sometimes it's good to have that person be like, oh, should I do this? Yes, just do it. And that's what I was like for Tay.
oh,
Tay's
totally.
like, oh, this or that. I'm
Oh,
like, just do
totally.
it.
Oh, 100%. It's so nice to just feel like you got somebody as a friend, right? In a deal, especially when things get hard or you're trying to think through something. It's real estate can be rough by yourself. You're like, man, there's so much.
Gosh, I call Zasha like 2-3 times a week sometimes because nobody understands.
Yeah, it's good to have someone watching your back too, because I think if I watched this sponsor video in The Path, and it was like 3 hours long, and Ryan said like, yeah, Tyler would usually would sometimes catch something that I missed. So sometimes it's good to have different angles on what you're looking at.
Yeah. Oh yeah, partnerships are so fantastic, and you really can scale so much quicker that way. Yeah, I like what Zasha said about meeting people in meetups and going to different places where you can find somebody. It's kind of like speed dating. It's kind of fun. Like you're you go to a networking event and you're just like, hey, you're cool and you're cool and this will be fun. And then, you start talking and then pretty soon you start doing some stuff together and then it turns out to be a deal. So that's awesome. I love it. I love it. So let's see, hold on a second. I think I wanted to ask, I think sometimes Kurt Johnson, do you have any deals that you were trying to share about?
Hey guys, sorry. I work for Title, so let me change my background here. But I can tell you, I can tell you what the market is, what's happening now. I mean, you got to have cash in this industry, and that's what's happening. And we're finding a lot of people on 30-day closes. So partnering, you want to partner, you can partner with me, because I can help with data and those kind of things too. But what I'm seeing is the market's ticking up a little bit. And I don't know if it pertains to you guys, Kiko, but I've heard that FHA assumable loans, I know we can do VA assumable loans, but FHA is coming around big time now, where they're talking about 40-year FHA as well too. So they're finding creative ways to get loans as well too. But I think it's just it comes down to data. So you got to know where they are, and also there are homes out there. They're looking for someone to buy their home, and I'm hearing that people are coming together, like 3 or 4 people coming together and buying the home together as well too. That's what I hear out there. But sorry, Kiko, I hope that helped out. We'll be on the spot too.
So is yeah, I'm good at that. So the FHA, is that, I've heard some 40-year loans out there. So is this, it's something that's available now, yeah?
It's available now, but again, it's trying to find out what is it, and with the FHA assumable loan, which means, for example, if a house sells at 800,000 and the homeowner has a loan of 600,000, you can take over the loan in the $500 credit. In the credit range, like 580, you take over the loan, you just got to bring the extra cash and you get a second loan or HELOC loan. So that's what I hear now. Moving on, because interest is so high that people just want to buy homes and to get that extra rate as well too. But that's what I'm hearing on the streets now. But that 40-year FHA is interesting.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I mean, I think the good point that you're making there is, if anybody's out in the market and you find a decent property, there's ways to get it financed. You just got to be super creative because there's all kinds of loan packages coming out right now. And if one bank doesn't do it yet, another one might. So lately for us on the multifamily side, we found that the local community banks are actually a huge asset because they're a little more flexible because they got to keep money moving. And in light of all the financial crisis with banking, a lot of these banks are now trying to deploy money and deploy it well, but they have to keep money moving. So they turn out to be, not a bad option. So if anybody's out there shopping, if
you want to take out some of the lunch or have drinks, if you can find asset managers from the bank, those are key guys you want to talk to because they know where the money is. So if you run into any asset managers or know anybody, take them out to a drink or have coffee with them because they know where the money is.
Yeah, that's a good one. Monica's asking, what is the interest rate for that FHA? Do you know yet?
It depends. Like during the pandemic, a lot of people bought homes at a 3% FHA, right? And so 2020 to 2022, I guess, people use the FHA, and it's like 3%. But now there's things happen in their lives, divorce, second home, whatever. And the home's been on the market for so many days. Now a buyer comes in at a 580 credit score, takes over the loan, and then brings in extra cash as well too. As long as the bank is okay with it, and Kiko, and of course not on the call, I can send you some links. You can take a look at what's going on. This program's been going on since 1989. I guess we've been spoiled with low interest rates. So I'm thinking getting a farm list of during that time and just talking to the homeowner on there too. So it's happening in Washington. Is anybody in Washington State? It's happening in Washington State right now. And California, they're picking it up now. So Hawaii is still a little bit green, so to speak. So I'm assuming they've been in that small interest rate, the 3%.
Yeah, interesting.
I got a question. I got a question for Kurt. I know you had mentioned something about the 40-year amortization. I'm hearing a different story up here with one of my other local lenders saying that the 40-year is not really a product that they offer off the top. It's more of a loan modification.
Yes, modification. Right. Yes, it's a modification loan. Yes, I'm trickling information. You're right, Stan.
So just to justify, I mean, just to make sure that it's clear that everybody on here knows that it's more of a loan modification, because I was an assumption that it was a 40-year product from the start, and it's not the case. So,
yes, thank you for clearing that up, Stan.
Explain a little bit from what you're hearing. So if somebody has a current loan and they're stuck and they can't make those payments, then they're refinancing into a 40-year to lower those payments. Is that essentially what that looks like?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is from what I'm hearing from my guys up here.
Yeah, and up here is Vegas, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. And that's would that be, what type of loan products are they modifying that into?
I think the FHA was one of them, and I want to assume it would be the VAs as well. And I think that kind of ties into what the lender is allowing, because there's a lot of this stuff in the fine print, right? Because I think it's kind of reflecting off of the same thing with the 3-2-1 buy down program, kind of reflecting off of that, where people are signing, like, they think it's a great product. But then he also mentioned too, like, hey, some of these lenders you can't modify it until 3 or 4 years down the road. So you're kind of stuck in that if you want to get out.
Yeah, that's interesting. It also goes to show that government's trying to kick in here to make sure that we prevent more foreclosures. So if they're willing to loan mod out 10 more years, then they're helping a lot of homeowners stay in their homes, which is good. But then that would actually lead us to believe that we're going to have less of a recession or a crash, if you will. We may have a recession, but there may not be that crash as in prior years, just because the government is trying super hard to let people keep their homes, and they're more proactive this time than before. So that's interesting. Would you agree with that, Kurt?
And also watch out for forbearance. A lot of people, a lot of homeowners didn't understand what forbearance is, and it's going to come around right now. So I'll keep an eye on, if you guys can get information on forbearance, and I'm doing that myself too, look out for that. That's coming around fast, but it's not like going to be like the 08 kind of thing. But a lot of homeowners didn't understand what they're getting into. Like, I don't have to pay mortgage for the next year. All right. And then, but that doesn't mean you're out of the loan. I mean, right, Stan, it's just like,
it just gets placed in the back. And that's another thing too to keep in mind, is that if there's people in here that understand or do creative finance, you're taking on somebody else's trouble, like issues, right? So if they have a forbearance on their loan, you're going to take that forbearance over as well, right? If you do any type of subject to or seller, creative finance deals, you take on their issues.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you just carry on their baggage.
Yep.
Which is actually a really good point to bring up relative to making sure we do our due diligence when we do seller financing, because if we don't know what the skeletons in the closet are, we're going to find out after the fact, and they could be really bad.
Yeah, so it's always good to also find a title company that understands it and can potentially insure it. We work with WFG Title up here in Vegas, and they can insure sub-2 like VA loans if you're doing that. So not all title companies are the same, and not all title companies understand the creative side. So be aware.
That's awesome.
Question. We just heard that Biden is doing something with going to add on people who have good credit scores. I guess the cost of them getting the loans is going to be higher. Is that true?
Kurt, have you heard about that?
On May 1st?
That's new to me. I'm about to look into it.
I seen somebody post about it where they're actually, the post was saying something like, if you have good credit score, you're only gonna get like a 1% discount versus someone who has a low credit score, then you're gonna get a higher discount. So let's say you have a score of 680 above, you're only gonna get 1%. Anyone that's like a 580, you get like a 1.75. So that was the thing where they're almost punishing the people that have good credit score with less discount when it comes to that on the interest rates.
Oh, because the good people with good credit scores are going to end up paying more, is what you're saying.
They're going to get less. Well, yes, they're going to
Yeah.
pay more because they have a less of an interest rate discount.
Huh.
I seen it on somebody's post right before I got on here.
I saw
That's a
that
good one.
posted as well, and someone, I didn't look into it, but someone said look into it because it's not what the headlines are like making it all out to be. You know, there's definitely fine print, so I haven't looked at the fine prints, but it's not quite that. It's just the headlines are making it look, you know, really, really not good.
Well, and the news loves to pick on Biden for sure this season. So that's just fact number one. But yeah, that'd be interesting to see what he's trying to do. I mean, I think that of course everyone's trying to or the feds are trying to manage the whole inflation. And so I think Biden's trying to figure out his part. Man, if Biden would just take the student loan forgiveness thing and then kind of help people forgive their credit card debt, that would probably do so much better for our economy. But you know, there's so many different levers to pull. But that was good, Kurt. Thank you for that. Stan,
you're
thank you
welcome.
for side as well. That's awesome. And then Chris, Dante has somebody for you to meet in Oklahoma. So connect up with Dante. He's
Oh yeah,
got
I heard. I got his phone number. Don't worry. Probably gonna text him after this.
oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, no, Dante's a great resource. That's what's great about
Yeah.
these.
I know. I know.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Hey, Dante, we sent you that deal too, by the way. So hopefully you got to see it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Sounds good. If that one doesn't work out, there's two more fun
Sounds good.
ones. Do you do partnerships at all, Dante, or you haven't done any of that yet?
Yeah, I'm linked with a couple of people that I'm partnering with. So we're looking for the storage units, the whole trailer park thing and everything.
Gotcha. So you're all over, and multifamilies, I can tell too.
Talking about inheritance, did you folks see the news about like the house that showed up on HGTV that the city and county are finding them now because they didn't get permits. So they're finding houses that's not getting permitted through HGTV.
Huh. That would make sense. I mean, they're trying to create a TV show so fast. There's no time for permits, right?
Yeah, so yeah, it's crazy. So I don't know. It's getting hard because I'm on the realtor side too, right? So if you're representing the buyer, that's like lawsuits, waiting to happen on both sides, the seller, buyer, the realtors, anybody involved in that transaction. That's lawsuits waiting to happen. All these non-permitted things. Well, this is 2 years ago, and they're finding it now, and the new buyers are being fined.
Yeah, permits are always one of those really painful conversations because, like in Hawaii, sometimes you can't, if you don't do anything without a permit, you're not going to do anything for 6 months to a year. So it's a fine line, right? But yeah, totally get that. Good stuff. Anybody else got any needs or anything else that they're processing through? And then we're gonna talk a little bit more about multifamily since there's so many. I get lots of questions from our community here about multifamily. So I think it's fun. Like, I think we're all kind of moving together towards more and more multifamily thinking and mindset. So we get to go as a group, and then hopefully some partnerships will come out of this, like Tay and Zasha have, that some of us might jump into. I know Corey and I are open to it. We're just trying to find the right deal. Maybe a question for Zasha and Tay. When it comes to partnerships, the challenge is that you got to make sure there's enough meat on the bone in order to partner. And then if you do a syndication, you got to have a lot more too. What's your criteria that you're running right now in regards to the deals to know if it's got enough meat to either have one partner or actually do more like a syndication type. Have you guys gotten that far?
So
For both,
I'm not
like-
in any syndication. So I got a couple partnerships going, and we just look at who's bringing what to the deal and then decide how the profit split is. So that would be for fix and flips. And then on the longer term partnerships, I only have one I have a couple long-term partnerships, and same thing. We created LLCs for the long-term ones. We decide how we're breaking up the ownership of the LLC, and that's how the cash flow split will be. And we do all, like, we each have some capital into the deal to start with, and like everything is just really clear on that end. We have like the lanes would describe who's doing what in the deal. How are we splitting up the ownership of the LLC and therefore splitting up the cash flow or profit split? Does that make sense? But I'm not doing any syndication, so I can't speak on syndication.
So then are you
Yet.
putting all that in the operating agreement? Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then do you create your own operating agreements or do you have a company that you use?
Company. I use NCH on everything, but I just hired a new attorney, and I think we're gonna start using him to create, more specific things.
Okay. Do you recommend NCH?
I can't speak on that because I've never used anybody else. They're my easy button. They cost, I don't know, $900 to $1,000 to create a new LLC. And I literally just email them and say, hey, new LLC, here's the name, here are the partners and the partnership, or like the ownership. And then within a week, we get all the paperwork, EIN, all the things to sign. And then they open it. Right now, they open most LLCs in Wyoming, and then I'm responsible for registering each of them in the states that we're doing. So every one of the LLCs are registered in Hawaii because we have to open a Hawaii bank account, and then we register them in whatever state we are investing in.
Gotcha. Okay. So they're formed in Wyoming for the protection.
Protection, yeah.
Yeah. And then you register them in each of the states that you do the business in. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And where are they located out of? NCH?
Vegas, Nevada
Nevada?
corporate headquarters.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And
Well, if
they're
anybody-
kind of a full service thing. Like they create your LLCs, they can do your trust, they can do your business credit. I don't
Gotcha.
know who else.
Was
here
that part
may
of
have
the
used
Pace? Was that part of Pace
Fortune.
Holdings community?
Fortune Builders?
Oh, okay.
Pace uses Prime Corporate Services.
Gotcha. Okay. I was trying to remember what he does. I use Anderson Advisors. So if anybody's looking for recommendations, you've got 3 right now. NCH out of Vegas. You've got Paces. What was that again,
PCS.
Ken?
Prime Corporate Services.
Corporate Services, and then there's Anderson. The nice thing about Anderson, what I like about them is I paid them a one-time $10,000 fee, and it's unlimited LLC formations for life. So
Wow,
So-
that's super good.
yeah, so Tay, for you and Zasha, for those of us who do a lot of LLCs, it's awesome because exact same process. I just email them real quick, and then they just get it started. And then, oh yeah, Diedrich, I set him up with Michael at Anderson as well. But yeah, I really just enjoy them. Same thing, Wyoming formation, and then, but they do all the registrations for me, so I don't do any of that. But yeah, those are some good options for anybody who is looking to set up some LLCs. And if you're going to do a lot, then it's kind of nice to try to find somebody who's a good partner, whichever way it is, whoever it is, but just long term, because then once they get your information, it makes it even faster. Zasha, who do you use?
Prime Corporate Services.
Oh, you do the Prime Corporate. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
How much do they cost?
I think it's like maybe like 200 every time you form a new LLC, but then initially maybe it's like 1,300. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, I think initially to get started it was like 13 or 15, but
Yeah, I think it just
I know
depends
every
on what
time I
kind of
do.
company.
Yeah, was that it?
Mine was, I think, like 775, but I had them create my trust and then an LLC as well. But also depend, I think like it's like 475 or something just for a registered, I mean, just for an LLC here in Vegas. They do also form it out in Wyoming. And then you have to, they register your agent for you as well. But mine, I think, was like 775 initially.
Yeah. I can't remember because I also signed up for the credit thing. So that might have been that too, but definitely book a call with them and link in the chat, affiliate link, FYI.
Hey, there you go.
Sasha gets credit, so click the link.
Okay, cool. Where's your affiliate, man? You're pushing hard for Anderson.
They just take good care of me. I don't have any affiliate with them. They just they do a good job. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I mean, it's really just a matter of for those of you who don't have somebody yet, pick one of these Prime Corporate Services, or any of them, and just get to know them, interview them, because eventually if you get into real estate on a scalable growing basis, you're going to start creating LLCs left and right. And even if it's not LLCs for your properties, it's going to be LLCs because of your partnership, or LLCs for a side business, or, it's just so nice to have somebody else just do it for you. And unfortunately, usually when you need an LLC, you needed it yesterday, right? And so you need somebody that you've already talked to, as opposed to be like, oh my gosh, what's Sasha's little link thing again? And who do I talk to? Because then at that point, it's going to take weeks, months, sometimes even. But yeah, that's really good. So yeah, that's a good pointer for those who are looking for an LLC formation partner. Sasha, give us an update on how everything went this last week with your multi.
So, I mean, like anything else, no real progress. It's only been a week with these multifamily deals. It's like just one foot in front of the other every day. So there hasn't been too much movement. I mean, we have the new property management company there. We have one of the GPs living there. So he's just been trying to move things along as far as the paperwork wise, get the new property management onboarded, and then help to also facilitate like the maintenance of the property as far as like cleaning up when people move out, leaving all their things behind. It's kind of like the update from last week. So
similar, except the new PM's on board. So is your GP getting along with the new PM pretty well?
From what he's mentioned,
that's always the
but
fun part.
Who knows what's going on in real life. I think we all want to hear positive, so keeping us on that uptick right now.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. So that was a syndication, right? That was 4 GPs and then 20 LPs, if I remember correctly.
25.
Who did the formation for that for you?
The formation of the syndication itself?
Yeah. Just as a for anybody who's looking to do syndication, start taking these names down and start talking to these folks, because again, the sooner you start having those conversations, when the deal comes, you're like, let's go.
Yeah. And doing syndications, or even like, these bigger multifamily deals, is definitely something you should not just jump into head first, Christopher Valoria. But it definitely
400
it
units.
definitely,
Oh yeah, don't worry. Don't worry. I figured that part.
Yeah, there is a lot of recourse that can happen, that if you as an individual, or even if you only have a few people on your team, it would be really hard to capture, especially if you don't have the net, the assets or capital to back up and need to, go into foreclosure. But not to scare people away, but this is definitely like a different economy happening right now. So I did get a couple questions about, because I did close on a flip on Wednesday in Vegas. And so a few people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're still, buying flips, and are things still selling in Vegas? And it's like, okay, there's totally, like, every market is totally different, right? And it's totally specific to where you're buying. Even in that market, where you're buying in that area matters as well. So just run your numbers, right? And if it works for you and there's enough cushion in the deal, I mean, you never know until it sells. So we got it under contract at 1.185. It appraised as is as 1.6. So there's a lot of cushion, but is it going to sell at 1.6? Who knows? So, but I'm at that point in my career where I can take, I mean, it's not really even taking a risk if there's that much equity, but it is, okay, what are we going to do strategy wise? If it doesn't sell, how are we going to pivot? Who's going to cover the cost and things like that? So you just have to be on the same page with whoever you're partnering with, or if you're taking it on your own, just run your numbers super conservatively and figure out different ways that you can mitigate your risk or come out on with different, if flipping doesn't work out, what else can you do? What would that look like, and just be prepared.
That's awesome. You bought a $1.1 million flip in Vegas. That's awesome. Did you buy it by yourself or who did you buy it with?
With a partner. Yeah, one other partner.
Is that a partner in Vegas?
Yep. He's a boots on the ground. And it's in a gated neighborhood in Henderson, near a golf course. So it's definitely a luxury type of flip. But
yeah. That's awesome. No,
I'm
we're always,
excited
Stan and I are always looking in this market, and it's always fun to see the different options. And so that partner has done flips in Vegas before?
Yeah. So we've
Gotcha.
worked on, this will be our third project together.
Okay, so he does all the work and then you bring the cash?
Yeah, so I qualify for the loan, I raised the capital, and then he manages the contractor, the timeline, does all the boots on the ground stuff, and he's just no money in the deal. So that's what he likes.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. If you guys need any contractor referrals, just let us know. We have a bunch in Vegas. We could be of any help. That's awesome. So yeah, no, I think Zasha, you're totally right. With this market, you can still find deals. You just gotta run them different. So if you got a $500,000 equity spread, then you're probably doing okay. Put in what, 150, 200 on the rehab?
Yeah, well, that was as is. So what we're gonna do is they're actually going there this weekend with the realtor and the contractor, walking through and then seeing what our options are. If we just like clean some stuff up and just stage and list before summertime, or if they're gonna be worth, pushing for the extra amount if we do like a full-on rehab, but then it come on market like later in the year. So September, October. So in any, when it comes down to this market, or as a real estate investor, like you have to think about, okay, weigh out the pros and cons, right? And what's good right now. And in this market that we're in, it might just worth as soon as possible, get it listed, get it on, especially if you know that like summertime is here and that's when majority of the homes sell.
Yeah, that's a smart move. That's fantastic. How many square feet is that? 1.1.
I think it's a little under 5,000.
Okay, that sounds about right. That's cool. And then did you get it through like a wholesaler, or how'd you get that?
Yeah, wholesaler.
That's awesome. Yay. Love it. Love hearing good deals. Did you use bridge financing, or how did you do the financing?
Yeah, so we got a hard money lender and then private money for the rest.
That's awesome. Good
What's
stuff.
what's the hard money rate at right now as far as like the loan to value?
Loan to value, it was 70%.
So they raised it up a little bit. Yeah, sounds about right.
So you raised 300 roughly?
Yeah.
Okay. And then did you do it through private lending, or how'd you do it?
Yeah, private lending. So other people funding the deal.
Interesting. So you didn't put really any of your cash then either. You raised the cash.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then you and this guy are going to split the profits 50-50 after the private money's paid?
Yeah.
Awesome. And the 300 you did at 8, 10, 12%?
10.
10%, 12 months?
Yeah.
Promissory note, recorded deed?
Yeah.
Nice. So the
you know the drill. You know the drill, Kiko.
I'm just saying it out loud some cases, because there are some newer flippers on the call. So it's always nice to just kind of throw it out, so that way anybody who's new is like, oh, okay, that's how you do it. So yeah. No, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so a
And
lot
so-
of times, the value, people value the not bringing any money to the deal, even if you don't even technically bring money to the deal. So if you're able to raise it, if you, because it does take effort and time, marketing, things like that to form these relationships with people to lend the money. So there's value in that. And then value in the person who's boots on the ground, who's spending their time as well. So every partnership is different, but that's typically how I do my partnerships.
I love it. And
That's like
I
a
want to tag on that because for
positive.
anybody who's kind of new to getting into partnerships, that is the key. Zasha knows where her sweet spot is, and that is to raise money and to think through the business side clearly. And then on the other side is the boots on the ground guy, the guy who's going to drive around, he's going to meet with the contractor, he's going to check on the progress, he's going to ensure the timeline works, double checks the exit strategy, but he's going to double check that, but then he's going to run it through Zasha, who's the business person, right? Who's going to kind of think about the money side and say, does that work? Because we don't want to go on market in August and September and October because we'll get less. So let's do this. So that's a great partnership. I think sometimes when people get into partnerships, they spend more time looking for who they like than who will balance them out, right? And so it's kind of like, oh, I love Sasha. Zasha and I are going to get along great. We love to get our nails done, and we watch the same people on TikTok, and it's like, okay, that's a great friend, but may not be a great partner. And so that's awesome. I love it. And I do the same thing, Zasha. There's some people who come to me who are just like, hey, I've got money, but I have no knowledge. So can you help me figure out how to buy this property? And we'll split it half and half. And just like you're the money side. So they're the money side, and I get to come in and be the knowledge side. So if you're new to real estate and looking for a partner, start on something small, start a small flip and figure out what your sweet spot is. So maybe your sweet spot is the person that runs the contractor and runs the Home Depot runs and double checks every single day. Like some people love that. That drives me crazy, and probably drives Zasha crazy too, right? So that's why you don't do it. But you love putting deals together. So Zasha, I'm assuming, tell me if this is right or wrong, I'm assuming she's always looking for opportunities where she could be a partner and bring the funds. But she's looking for a partner that's boots on the ground, high integrity, high experience, knows the market well, and somebody who she can trust that once she writes that check, they're going to deliver because the investors are coming to Zasha, not to the partner. Is that all true?
1,000%. So I have even other experienced investors coming and they're like, hey, we are tapped out of private money and we need your help raising capital. How can we work together? And that's what this is all about. And especially, I keep on mentioning it on this call, there's so many other people on here who are doing deals, who have, can offset the qualities that you can't, that are finding deals, finding money, just like put each other together and try to work together and see how you can both make it a win-win, because it's not that one is worth more than the other. It's just like, okay, how can we make money in this economy right now? So figuring out the best way. And that's honestly how I got into some of my other JVs, like with the RV park that I closed in February, and then the office building with Ellard. And then I'm looking at a few other commercial properties with a few other investors in Hawaii. Of course, I've known for a little, so you got to build that track record, but also build that relationship up. So, and then like reminder, next week, Sunday, me and Tereva and a few other mommies investors are going to be speaking at the For Real conference?
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, with Kolaya.
Yeah. So, and Tani, I think are they with Win? What is their, maybe if you could put the info in the chat, I don't know what, but it's on Oahu, so if you guys can come, like it's not only for Maui mommy investors, but it's for everybody to come. There's going to be a lot of people there, so just tap into that network and put yourself out there and just see what you can bring to the table.
And if you're a man with a wife who's like not supportive, I think it would be nice to see women investors speak on experience and talk about like all the things that we manage,
Yeah.
So yeah, there's actually a lot of men that are coming or that have reached out and like, hey, can we come? Because they thought it was just for women. That's funny.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic. This would be a great event. Yeah, drop the link if you can in there.
So Tarot Patch Collective, but I'll look it up. I wanted to say the partnerships that I have right now, especially in Kansas City, Missouri, is with Shannon and Kevin. They're both super experienced investors. They both don't like raising private money. Like they like being hands-on, like they're very hands-on investors. But you know, raising private capital is, or even like doing all the lender requests and all that, pushing papers, that's just not their thing. They want to be in the buildings, looking at properties, looking for deals every day. And it works out for me because I'm really good at my desk. So that's how that partnership works. So I tend to be like the almost like admin of the deal. And like on the 13 unit, I collect all the rent and I keep all the finances together. So, and we're partners on that one as well. And we have a fourth partner in there who helps me with raising private capital. But like Zasha mentioned, like every partnership can be structured differently, and it's like what works for each individual and the value that we each bring into the deal. And you know, as long as we each bring fair value to the deal and we each walk away with a fair whatever split, I think that's super good, and we're all aligned. You know, like I enjoy being partnered with experienced investors.
Yeah, I love it.
Because we all share the struggles, you know, like nothing is just like on one person only. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. Tay, I need to partner with you more often since you love being at your desk.
I do. Zasha can tell you, like I do. I'm in QuickBooks, I'm in Excel sheets all the time.
Oh my God. I hate
I
that.
don't like being at my desk, but I do like hiring out. So even though I'm in charge of certain things, I do have like a marketing team. I do have like a bookkeeper who helps like keep me in line on that so I can focus on the relationships. But Tay definitely is head down, loves all that, organized to the T. So
Yeah, no, and that's where it's like, again, you find a partner who's good at what you don't like doing or aren't good at doing, and that's what's great. And on this call, there's so much talent that, you know, if we pull together different people, we should take down a 10,000 unit building, you know, because we got the right people. Zasha going to raise the money. We got some people who are willing to, you know, like Diedrich, he'll walk it and carry a gun. Stan will go with him. And then Tay will be there collecting rents and doing all the things.
well, and it's crazy because there is a lot of more money out there than I would ever thought. So once I started opening up to the syndications and the bigger multifamilies, I connected with people that have access to $100 million through family offices, right? And they're looking for very specific things. So if you find that particular deal, they could potentially fund like $100 million. So there's nothing out of this realm of possibility. It's just making those connections, finding what, you know, they want, what works for you, and then kind of working that all together.
Yeah.
Hey, Zasha, for the people that's brand new in here that's probably never heard of family offices before, because that's something that's unique in the space. Can you just kind of elaborate what family offices are?
Are you talking about you?
No. I mean, just in general, because a lot of people.
Can you explain it?
I'd rather you explain it because you're the one that has.
Let's throw this on you. Somebody else start talking.
I know what it is, but you have experience on like actually talking with them, so I think it's more appropriate.
Well, so I mean, from my understanding, again, I am not like a professional, even though I've done a lot of deals and I'm in a lot of partnerships. I don't know everything, but what I do know is that when I connect with these family office people, basically family offices are, especially if they have ownership in the family office, basically almost like a syndication. They pull a bunch of money together. Typically it's from really wealthy families that entrust somebody to invest their money wisely and make it grow. And yeah, it's basically like a fund in itself. And so they will go in, they have specific parameters for what they lend on, and then also specific terms. So it's almost like a hard money lender or like a fund or something of that sort. Now, I'm not the best at explaining it, but that's from my understanding. And then there's one specific or maybe a couple specific people that are in charge of making sure that it is invested in secure assets, which majority of the time they want to invest in real estate. So that's my take on it. They're just like regular people like you and me, but they have access to millions of dollars. And it's more of a connection as well, like relationship based. I feel like the overall consensus from this call is like partnerships, right? And being able to connect with people. They want to see like who you are. Like the first question that he asked me, and I had no idea when I hopped on the call what it was going to be like, was like, hey, do you have a dog? Like, how old are your kids? Like, he wanted to know more in depth about me personally than about like my experiences. He's seen all the paperwork and whatever else I put together as far as my experience, but he more so wanted to know who I was, which is not how I thought the conversation was going to go.
So it's about building the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, so family offices, from my understanding as well, I've got a couple clients who are about to start their own family office, which is kind of fun. Typically, you need a net worth of 100 million to 250 million. And then you kind of form this hui. And then that hui, the family office, then hires some professionals who help them invest the funds. Because the family may have the money, but they don't have the expertise or the knowledge. So that's when the family office hires a wealth manager, a tax advisor, a strategist, and then that team of leaders of the family office go out and they try to dole out the money. And like Zasha said, there's a lot of family offices because there's been a lot of wealth that's been created in the last couple of decades. And so these family offices have this massive amount. So you can imagine just, like $100 million sitting there, if they can get 5% return a year on that, I mean, they're making millions, but if they don't get 5%, they get nothing. So that's where family offices are really, really powerful, but they are typically very, very scrupulous when it comes to their underwriting. So if you think bridge lending or getting a loan is tough, family offices are like a whole nother level because that's the family's money. And so these wealth managers have to steward that money well. So if it doesn't fit their little box, and their buy box is really, really tiny, but I know of some folks that they do nothing but go find stuff for family offices because they know they'll get paid extremely well once they find that thing that matches their box and they go invest in that. So, but yeah, just like Zasha said, the point is there's a ton of money out there. And so the old saying is, if you find the deal and it's a deal, you'll find the money. And that's so true. And if you can't find the money, just call Zasha because she has the money.
I have connections to the money.
We have connections.
Potentially. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. This is really helpful stuff for sure. And then what did Diedrich say here? Oh, Diedrich's got all kinds of crazy stuff going on. It's awesome. And then Tay earlier actually talked a little bit about a second lien position for anybody who's doing a private money investment. And that is really important. I think everybody probably knows what that is, but Tay, do you want to just take a minute and share what you were pointing out there?
Yes. So when you buy a home with a hard money lender or conventional lender, they are in first lien position on the property. So in the Bureau of Conveyance, you're the owner, but there's lien on it from that bank for the amount of the loan that was lent to you. If you use private lender, you can file either at the time of closing or a couple of weeks later, you can file that second lien. There's definitely some paperwork to complete and some fees to pay, but essentially as a private lender, you're on record on that property, and should anything happen to that property, whether it gets foreclosed on or it gets sold, you're guaranteed that amount. So the title companies pull the title report whenever that home comes through their desk. They pull the title report and they see, oh, there's first lien by Kiko Capital, for example, and there's a second lien for Zasha Smith, for example. And they'll make sure that they get a payoff from Kiko Capital, a payoff from Zasha Smith, because Zasha Smith was the private lender on that deal. So that's a really good way to kind of ensure that you get paid, you know. And yeah, I don't know if that explained it, but at least there's paperwork, there's trace of that. And I know some lenders don't like, this is like, I can talk about private money lending all day long because I do that all the time, but some private lenders, they trust the investor or borrower enough to like not require it. And some private lenders just feel safer having that on record. So it's up to your, as a lender, it's your own, you know, risk tolerance, I guess. But I've done deals personally where the private lenders weren't on second lien, and I've done where they required it, and I have no problem doing that because it's, if that is what makes, one, the deal happen, two, that's what gives them peace of mind. Even, you know, maybe it's their first time lending or their first time lending to you, and then they can become repeat lenders. So yeah, it's like a lien.
Yeah, the lien's super important. And I think I want to point out what Tay said is so important. They come back and lend when they feel like they can trust you and you treated them very well when they did their first loan with you. So Corey and I have been fortunate that we have never, ever had an investor lose money with us, ever. So that's just great credibility. And same with Tay and some of those who do using other people's money. So let's keep that up, because the whole space can look really shady from the outside looking in when one realtor or one investor takes people's money and doesn't pay it back. It's horrible, and it makes the whole space look bad. But I think we're starting to change the tide on that, which I think is so exciting. Like, real estate should always have integrity, and I think that's just kind of the foundation which we all work by. So good job to everybody. Love it. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Gosh, a whole hour already went by. That's crazy. So much good stuff today. I love it. I love it. Anybody got any deals that you need a partner on? Because we obviously have some good, we got some good talent here, and I think we're all looking for deals. Tay just freed up herself, having left the deal that she had in Indy.
Yeah. So I think we're going under contract today with Shannon and Kevin on a flip. So we're gonna raise capital for that. I believe we're gonna need 90,000 to 100,000 for that one, for the down and part of the rehab, but we'll see. We already contacted Tico Capital for the main financing on that one. So we'll see if we fully go under contract today. They're running the due diligence as far as condition of roof, mechanical, foundation, and we're verifying the comp with an appraiser.
That's awesome. Where's the flip at?
So if all goes well, we're gonna go under contract today. KCM, Kansas City, Missouri. So that's a good thing. Like, well, Shannon and Kevin, you know, they do the due diligence part, and then once they come back to me, I review, I run my own analysis, and you know, if it's too, like, we've passed on some deal, I'm like, that's not enough meat on the bone, you know. Analyzing conservatively, we reduced ARVs by 10 to 15%. I look at days on the market because that affects our timeline in the deal. And yeah, so sometimes we pass on stuff sometimes, but I think this one we're gonna go for it, because she's already sent me like 10 texts about it. So I think she really wants to do it. So following awesome. their lead.
Hey, by the way, I do have, speaking of Missouri and the Midwest, I do have a lead on 2 single family homes in Michigan, in Detroit. So if anybody loves Detroit, just shoot me a message later. It's from a Hawaii family that has investments up there. So just trying to help them out. So if Michigan's interesting to anybody, I hear mostly about Midwest, Indy, Oklahoma, and Missouri, but in case you know anybody. That's awesome. Well, cool. Any other final thoughts or questions? Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Zasha, for letting us pick on your Austin deal again. But anybody got any final questions or thoughts or anything for the week? This is awesome. I learned a lot today. This is good stuff. Well, right on, everybody. Well, go have a great weekend. Thanks for jumping in, and then we'll catch everybody next week. And if, again, bring questions, bring concerns, bring any issues you're facing, so together we can keep learning together. And then maybe next week, Stan or Kurt can give us more information about how exactly some of those new lending products are going, because that'll be really interesting as well. But appreciate all of you. Have a great Friday. Aloha Friday.
Have a good event tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Aloha. Thank you.
Well, take care.